Spotlit my video. I've got you all on mute and I've opened my chat box. So if anything crops up while I'm making today, do leave me a comment. And of course, if I miss the comment, we can have a chat about it live in the Make and Create session later. I'm curious to know whether you've got your box of straws with you today and whether you're going to be making along with me. So let me know in the comments. And while you're thinking about that, I thought I would just show you how my little arrangement from last week has matured over time. So I have still, my pine needles are still a nice green. I was going to say vibrant green, but I don't think the pine needles were vibrant green to begin with. They still got their greenness to them. The little strap I made from my shredded formium is drying slightly, but what I particularly like is all the little pyracantha berries have shrunk a little bit, so it's got this lovely texture to them, and I'm quite pleased with that. So I've had it on my side like that, but I did photograph, as you saw, on the side to make this little fairy kingdom, and I put my little garden gnome pick in the side here. So yeah, quite pleased with that. So I'm going to put that out of the way so I can see that, yes, straws have been purchased. So a quick hello and welcome. And of course, this is the last Zoom flower class of this 8-week series. So we've stopped the classes a little bit early. Well, I pulled them back from Christmas because I know that Christmas is all really busy for us individually as with our households, and I know loads of you as well are no doubt got lots of flowery things on, so hopefully you'll be able to be inspired by the previous classes and you'll be able to get creative in your own time ready for Christmas without having the pressure or commitment of doing an actual flower class so close to the Christmas period. So for today we need straws. So I have got a box of black straws here. Of course, they can be any colour. I've got black ones and I have got white ones as well. But my black straws are sort of 3/4 of the length of what a conventional straw would be like. It doesn't matter what size your original straws are because we are going to cut them to fit. And then the other vital ingredient is paper covered bind wire. So I just happen to have some red. I've decided to go with red and black for my Himmeli wreath today, but it may be that you want to use white straws and perhaps a more neutral colour with your binding wire just so it doesn't show up. So I quite often choose materials that I think are going to show up really well on camera. So what we're going to make is the Himmeli wreath. So this is the one that I have shown you the picture of in the handout, which I made in a workshop 6 or 9 months ago, I think. When I made it, you can see it's a little bit flimsy. So it looks perfectly fine when it's sitting on my side, and I could have a pillar candle in there, a very modern arrangement. But if I'm totally honest, when I hang it up, it slightly collapses. So I know that I need to strengthen my fixing. So this time, as I'm going to make my Himmeli wreath with you, I'm going to take that extra effort just to tighten my fixings a little bit so it's a little bit more robust. Now, if you want to add flowers to this, and as you know, this course has been all about the techniques, I have seen pictures online where people have actually strapped the back of the wreath to one of the plain flat wreath frames and then put it on a sort of spike stand so it's stood up a bit like a very decorative lollipop, and then have taken flowers and bent them round on the side. And one particular picture there comes to mind is with the arum lilies. So they don't need to be in water. They will stay out of water. They will stay turgid out of water for quite a long time. And you can sort of manipulate the stems to curve them slightly. So it's got options. Once you've mastered the technique, there are all sorts of options for you in terms of what you do with your wreath. If you're thinking of hanging it up, I wouldn't hang it up outdoors because the paper straws will degrade in the weather. So even if it's not raining directly on it, just the moistness of the, our the cold winter air as we move from autumn into the Christmas period, I think it's going to affect it. So if you are going to hang it up, I would hang it up indoors as a lovely talking point. So this arrangement today, this structure today, I'm slightly nervous because it's fiddly. So I think this is going to probably be the video that you may well want to watch what I'm doing now. And I know some of you like to work along as I'm creating. I think you're going to find that a little bit difficult to follow along as I do it. If you want to have a go in the make and create session, I can help you out one-to-one when we come off the record. But it may well be something that you will want to watch and then pause the video so you can see exactly where we're going. So it's going to take a little bit of dexterity with your fingers, but it's going to mainly take a little bit of brain power. So you need to sort of visualize the shapes that we're making in order to understand how to put these geometric shapes together. So the wreath that we're going to make is made up of these little components, and you will need to make 8 of those to make your complete circle, but I will talk about this more. And the inspiration for this Himmeli wreath, not only was it because I went to a workshop to make one 6 or 9 months ago, but also many years ago, I can remember watching Kirsty's Handmade Christmas, and there was a lady on there who made little Himmeli, I don't know whether I can't remember now whether she made a wreath or whether she was actually making Christmas decorations. And I was so inspired by what I saw her do that I actually bought some of these decorations from the lady's Etsy shop. So it's just amazing, isn't it, how it's sort of no ideas are brand new. What comes around goes around. So what I've got here are, they're all made in the same way, but you can build on a skill and you can get more and more creative with it. So this one here is made up of 3 uprights, and it's got this little insert section in the middle. So that's sort of a 3er. And then we've got here is a 4er with 4 upright pieces there. You can see it's square in profile around the waist to it. And this one is a 5er, and this is the indication of the shape that we're going to make, but we're not going to add in these tall pieces. If we have time at the end of the class, I will show you how to make a simplified version of the 4er if you want to make that hanging tree. I'm not going to show you how to do that sort of central bit that's hidden inside the structure, but you will quickly find, as you get more and more confident with what you're doing, you will be able to adapt and build on the technique. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'll do a little bit in front of camera first, because I need to do some chopping up of my my straws, and I'll just have a little bit of elbow room as I do that. The little hanging things, it's wire. So it's not wire. They are tiny metal tubes that have been threaded with wire. So when I first started, when I wanted to work out how to do these, I got I had some stripy paper straws, and I don't know why I didn't use my bind wire, but what I used, I had some fine string, and I threaded my string onto a darning needle, and I pushed my darning needle through the hole of my own drinking straws. So yeah, really tiny metal tubes. And one thing you will notice when you come to make your own shapes using your straws, because the straws are chunkier than these tiny metal straws, you will see a little bit of the join and the gappage. But actually, when I look at that, I'm not sure the camera will pick that up, but you can see that the straws, the tubes, all come together at the same place. And it does get a little bit gappy, and you will see your paper covered bind wire through. But I just think that's all part of the technique. But because these are tiny, that is hidden a little bit. So in terms of cutting my straws to length, as I say, I have got these short straws, which are 14 centimetres tall. So for ease, I'm cutting my straws directly in half because I don't want to be measuring bits and then chopping off a bit at the end. If you've got the longer straws and more conventional length, I would measure it and then divide it by 3, and just to see what sort of size that could give you. Perhaps you will get 3 lengths of straw out of each of your standard length straws. The one I made before, each of those little straw length is 6 centimetres. The ones I'm going to make today are 7 centimetres out of preference. I think the 6 centimetre looks a little bit better. It makes a slightly more compact wreath in the end, but it's entirely up to you. I can't change my mind now because I have done a little bit of prep, so it's too late to change it. So what I'm going to do is I'm holding my straw up against my ruler, I'm taking my scissors and I am cutting it at the halfway mark, the 7 centimetres mark. You could measure every single straw if you wanted to. That's going to be quite laborious. So what I'm going to do is measure up and cut, and each time I'm going to hold on to my original straw in order that my cutting doesn't vary. You know what it's like. You think, you know, if you use the second straw to cut the third and the third to cut the fourth, there's just that risk that you vary the length a little bit. So for each component, each little piece, the practice piece we're going to do first of all, I've just written this down. I need 15 pieces and I need 8 of these structures to make a whole wreath. So you could chop, 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 and just go for it. But what I found was I would much prefer to make one structure at a time, because I just find it a little bit overwhelming if you've just got bits of straw everywhere. And it also means if you decide that you don't want to make the whole wreath, you just want to make some hanging decorations out of the smaller components, it means you haven't ruined all your straws and you've still got straws left that you could use for your fancy cocktails at Christmas time. So I'm just cutting those there, and I ought to count them. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, one more for luck, 15. So as I cut my 15th straw, I'm going to bring the camera overhead so you can see more carefully what I'm going to be doing. And this is where you need to pay attention. And this is the bit, as my camera comes overhead, that you may well have to watch again, replay, pause, so you can see exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and do every effort to lay everything out in front of me so you can see where I'm going. And also is getting to know your structure as well, understanding how it's been put together, but I'll talk about that more in a minute. So just bear with me as I move my chair and bring in that second camera. So let me show you the component piece. So this is the white one, which I made in class before. It's a pentagon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's got 5 struts here. So that's what you want to keep bearing in mind. You'll see 5 triangles on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You turn it over, it's exactly the same thing on the bottom. But when I turn it to the side, all you will see are the 2 triangles on the side. You end up with a diamond shape. So it's just the 5 triangles at the top, the 5 triangles at the bottom, and you'll see in profile this diamond shaped here. So it's a little bit like a squashed 3D pentagon. So when you come to make your triangle, we're going to start off by making your pentagon shape. We're going to make a series of triangles, and we're going to wire them together, thread them together, look like as if we were beading a necklace. But you're going to end up, first of all, with a shape that looks like this. So you've got 1, 2, 3 across the top, 4, 5. And then when we come to add in the extra pieces, we're going to add them in at the join between the 2 bottom triangles, and we'll go like this. And then I've got 3 left at the top, which I will show you what I'm going to do. So that is the structure. When you want to replay the video, it's that shape that you are looking for to begin with. So let's make a start. I'm going to take some of my paper covered wire, and I'm just going to reel off a length, and I'm probably reeling off 30 or 40 centimeters. You cannot make this with one piece of wire, so cut yourself off individual lengths. And as you know, with a paper covered wire, it's really easy to twist it together, and you will hide that join inside your little tubes, inside your straws. I start off by threading 3 of the straws onto my paper covered wire. And then you see here that it's quite gappy there. You need to make sure that you have closed the gap on all the angles of your triangle. If you're too loose here, this is what weakens the structural integrity of your triangles. So I'm holding it at the edge here, and then I will twist to tie. So I'm going to twist my triangle around. I've now got that leftover piece of wire here. I might trim it out. I'm going to trim it to 1 centimetre in length, and I just smooth that down so I can get ready for my next triangle. So this time I'm going to add in 2 of the straws, because my 3rd side of the triangle is already on this triangle, already made like that. So I just take 2 more. Put that through, push all of, oh, here I've misfired with that little bit of the end there. I'm just going to hide that inside the casing, and then make another triangle. So can you see what I've done there? I've brought it together, and actually what I'm making is a diamond here. Do not be too confused by the diamond, but I will show you where that diamond is here. Can you see it's when I said to you before, you get that diamond shape there. That's part of what you're making. But try to think about this as triangles, not as a diamond shape, but you will end up with a first placement looking like a diamond. How do I join this bit to that bit? I'm going to wrap it over the join. And every so often you will need to do this. Just wrap your wire around in order that it stays together. And you do that as often as you think you need it. But don't, I would say 1 wrap is enough. Don't go over, because you're going to end up with a bulky fixing. So how then do we work out where to put the next 2 pieces of straw? Well, you need to forget this looks like a triangle, and you need to adjust it round so that you've got a flat bottom. Sorry, forget it's a diamond. Just move it round so you've got a triangle in front of you with a flat bottom. So the next triangle is going to go on the end here. And once you've got that, I think that's the first hurdle, is to try not to look at that as being a diamond to begin with. Just readjust it so your mind knows it is a triangle. And then you can see I've made 3 triangles now. I need to twist that round to hold it firmly in place. Okay, my next triangle goes on the end there. A little bit of a problem there because I've run out of wire, so I'll take off my next little section of wire, twist it on like that, and I've just elongated my string. So then I thread my next 2 pieces of straw on. And then you just, where you have got a join, you may need to just feed it through, just so it doesn't ruckle up like that. So I've got it like that. You can see that this one has to bend up to the top there. So I bend it up to the top and then twist tie it to secure it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 5, so 2 more. 1, 2. Oops. And then comes back down to there. Twist, tie that off. That. Now, do you remember when I showed you that first layout where I had the straws just resting on the table? I said the next placement has to be here. So I've had to twist tie here, number 1, to hold my fixings firm in place. But this time I'm going to take my wire back through this bottom straw. So as you're working, it's not like making a continuous necklace. Sometimes you'll have your wire running up and down different straws in order to get it to stick out where you want it to stick out. So it's trial and error. This is the way I like to make them. But as you work, if you find a way that works better for you, you go for it. So if you're having to take your wire all over the place to get out at the point that you need it, do that. So I know this isn't going to unravel because I've twist tied here, and I'm going to then take it back through that straw, and then I need to make sure it pops out with just the one straw. I don't want it threading all the way along the top. Oops, I've lost it there. And then pull that through. And then what I just need to make sure here is that it doesn't ruckle up. So sometimes you have to just ease it through because it doesn't always want to go the right way. So there I have got my string coming out at the join between the 2 bottom triangles. I then add in my next piece of straw. Oops. Why isn't that going through? There you go. Okay. I'm going to add on an extra bit of wire. And then this is when you need to start shaping. So if I shape it like that, can you see I've got my 5 pieces in the middle, but I've only got 1, 2, 3 sides around the edge. So I need to complete another side here and another side there. And at the bottom, I've only got 4 pieces coming into the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to have another one here. So what I'm going to do there is add on a second piece. So I'm threading on 2 pieces of straw at the same time. So that top piece becomes the 5th upright at the top, and that bottom piece is going to become the 5th upright at the bottom. So this is where, again, it might be confusing. So thread on 2 pieces of straw. And what I'm going to do is turn it over. And a bit thin, fingers and thumbs. Can you see here? But it won't hold together. There's nothing holding it together. So I'm bringing it round, and I've got to wind or fix all those 4 and that 5th leg together. So I'm a bit fingers and thumbs here, but it will become obvious as you work. And this might be the bit you might want to replay again. So there we have it. I've got my 4 original uprights. I've added in 2 pieces here, 1, 2. I've got my 3 outside edges, but I'm missing these 2 last pieces. So then what I do now, I want to add this piece in here and this piece over here. But how do I do that when my string is at the bottom? So I need to get my string to come out of this hole. So again, I need, having fixed that, I need to go back up one of the straws to get my wire in the right place. want it to come out here. Oops, sorry about that. I'm just nudging the camera. So get that. I've got my twist tie here. I just want to make sure it's getting hidden, the join in the straw. Give it a little tug. Oops, I've given it such a tug. It's it's come undone. So what I'm going to do is I'll fix it at the top like that. So I've got my wire out where I wanted it to be. So then I thread on the next piece. And I then twist that around there. Like that. And you can see where the last piece needs to go in here. Now I've got a question for you. Do you want me to show you how to do that again from start to beginning? Or are you happy that you've got it? I'm quite happy to make another piece. Let me know in the comments. So this is your starter section, and I would use your starter piece as the guide for everything else, so that if you get stuck, you can either replay the video or you can come back to this original piece and think, where am I? What am I doing? Right, I will do another one, and hopefully with repetition, it does become more easy. Now I have pre-cut some stems, so you won't have to watch me measure up. So I know that I want to create my 5 triangles like so. So you can see it in the camera. That's 3, 4, 5. They're rolling all over the place. Sit and stay. And then my 2 next ones come down like that. Okay, so that's the shape that we're aiming for to begin with. So I'm going to move these back out of the way because they are rolling. Put them back into my little cup. And let's start off with 3, because we're going to, it's all about the triangles. 1, 2, 3. So it's a nice simple necklace. And then twist, tie nice and firmly, and you can breathe a sigh of relief that your first placement is done. I'm just going to again trim off that excess. So then add in my second pieces like that. So 1, 2. Making sure that little fixing there with the twist, it's got a little bit of a loose end there, so just make sure that gets hidden away. Bend that round, and this is where we get to the diamond, which I want you to forget about it being a diamond in a moment. Just loop it around. And then sort of ground yourself again. It needs to be a triangle you're looking at, so twist it round. Flat bottomed triangle. Add 2 more pieces on. Like that, and then twist tight. Next 2 pieces. And I'm going to take the opportunity of adding in a little bit more of my wire. One, 2. So when you thread the straws on, everything sort of becomes misshapen because you're not working totally flat on the table. You're sort of suspending in the air. So all the time, when you fix something on, I would then lay it out flat again so you can see where you're working. So you're always making sure you've got your flat bottom triangle in front. 2 more, so that's 4 triangles so far. Next 2 pieces. And down there, so I'm just going to turn that round just to make it easier for me to twist tie. So stage 1. I then need to take this wire to the middle join between the 2 triangles that are at the bottom. And I'm going to add on 2 pieces. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to do what I just said I was going to do. Take the wire and bring it back into the middle. And see here, I've bent it a little bit because I want to make sure that wire comes out and doesn't go into the second straw. So, and again, as you pull through this bit here, you may get a little bit of a knot. So just try and ease that bit in and just then pull it straight. So 1, 2, 3. 2 more. And then we get to the trickier bit, because we've now got to pick it up and start to shape it to become the pentagon shape. So the 2 wings here, I sort of bend those back underneath and they become 4 legs. You can see there's a missing leg here. So I can sort of hold that like that. I've got my 5th one I've just added on here, and that bottom piece goes there. And that's when you need to turn it over. So you'll start off with 4 legs, and then you'll just need to twist tie on everything together, because if you don't do that here, everything will fall apart. So it's crunched up a bit because I need to get round, I need to fix sort of the 2 sides together like that. So I've got my 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when I turn it over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I've only got on the outside edges 1, 2, 3. I'm missing 4 and 5, which go like this. So I need to attach it here. So I need to add in some more of the wire to travel back down the way I've already come in order to get my extra section on. So you can see this has sort of got this waistband across here. You can see it's missing here and it's missing here. So I need to get my wire from the tip of the shape back up the edge so I can add in that middle piece. So along the edge. Oops. There we are. Come out the other end like that, and then just feed in this bit here where I've got the join and just smooth that in. And that's going to go across like that. So I take this piece here and thread that up. And actually, I'm going to leave this with a hole. And again, you've got choices here. To get to that original piece, I need to add another section on here. And it'll depend, again, it's how you come to make it up. The reason I'm not going to add my last piece on here is because that last section is actually a sort of paired up with the next bit of the wreath. Can you see that as I put those together, that becomes the last section and it joins up? So it may well be that you just keep this complete unit as your visual reminder of what you're doing, or it could become the first placement in your actual wreath, because then you need to start joining together. I found it easier, having made this one, to set it aside. and then make all your other sections, you need 8 altogether, but make them all with this missing bit. And I'm imagining something like a, you know, a bird coming along, a hungry bird coming along, and it's going to latch onto the next piece. So this is my Blue Peter moment, when I've made more sections to add together. So if I try and move those out of the way so it doesn't get too confusing, that I've made this, and then I'm going to get it to, you know, come along, and it's going to mate, join up with its neighbour like this. So what you need to do here, I've got all these, they've all got a string on them, and all the strings are in slightly the wrong place. And it just depends where you end up. But again, when you come to put all your pieces together, you might want to have a look at the video again and come back to this place. Can you see that when I put my finger on the bottom here, the whole shape is sitting on this triangular base? And if I turn it round to the side, it's sort of got this angled section at the back. So all the time you just need to think it's got to sit on a flat triangular base. You then bring in your next piece that is also sitting on its flat triangular base, and you offer them up together. So this one, all I need to do is to take my wire and go up this straw here, and then I've got 2 pieces joined together. So shall we do that? So picking it up, wiring it up here, and then it's like that, but it's loose at the top. So I'm then going to lash this one around the top of the adjoining structure so that they don't wobble. I need to lift that up to do that. And again, at this stage, I am really tightly wrapping it round, because I'm conscious I want this to be firm, firm, firm. And then I've got this random bit of wire at the top. I'm going to cut it a little bit off because I want to hide that wire, and I'm just going to thread it back down the hole so it disappears. So then I'm left, can you see, with my little hungry mouse at this side. I get my next piece, and I'm getting that triangle base at the bottom, but you can see as I marry them together, you can see that that upright here is the missing side. So I need to bring that piece of string down this time. And you bring it in whatever direction you need to bring it, because if if you're rotating your little units in a different way than I am, you'll have your string coming out in different places. So that's held firmly there, but I need to join in the gap at the bottom here. So I need to take this length of string and again lash it round. So I'll need to lift that up. And then when I put it back on the table, you will see that that's firmly secured. Like that. Okay, so that's 3 pieces together. And I want to get rid of this. So again, I could cut it short or keep it long and trim out the excess. So I just do it as I go along. If you prefer to work in a different way, you don't need to make all of your pieces at one go. You could start off with your first piece and then sort of build onto it and then build onto it. I just found it easier, partly because I'm doing, I've created them in advance because it would take me too long to make them individually. I found it easier to make these segments as I went along. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Now this one, I've ended up with the missing piece at the top. Can you see here? But when I come and add in my next piece, I've got 2 bits together, so it's not going to work there. So what I'm going to do there is just add in a different bit. So you may work more in a more methodical way than me, but for some reason I have just got my little piece in the wrong section there. So I've got three completed sections. So when I come to add in this next bit, I could rotate this one round, and then I've got my triangular base at the bottom here with my 3 fingers on it. I've got my hungry mouth and I can clamp it on up here. So I've ended up with 2 wires together. I'm going to go with this wire and go down like that. And then, so it's held firmly there, but it's loose here. And then I need to wrap it over to hold that firmly in place. So I'm just for ease, I'm turning that over so I can see more clearly what I'm doing. So it's one of those things that every time you do a fixing, I would then do your fixing as you need to, but then lay it all back out again. Make sure it's sitting straight so you don't suddenly discover, instead of making a wreath, you've kind of made a dinosaur shape or something. So you can see how that's coming along. And then I've ended up with 2 pieces here that aren't, that are complete, but I have still got an empty one here, and I can marry those 2 pieces up together as I go along. So that is straight up there and along. And then you just continue round until you get right back to the beginning, but you may need to do a little bit of juggling as you get back to the beginning, because you may find that you need 2 missing pieces with your bauble, with your wreath. Sorry, I need to join that at the top there. So lash it round, pull it, firmly, but not so firmly you're damaging your straws. Wrap it round, and then hide the little bit of straw, the binding wire at the end. Oops. I'm going to cut that because it's starting to fray. And I should just be able to bury that inside the tube. Like that. So you close off that hungry mouth, and you can see there how many more pieces do I need. What I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 2 here already fixed, 6, 7. So imagine they were in there, and then you would need to get your 8th in the middle there. So I've just ended up with a complete one there. So you carry around and do that. I can't quite fix these together because they've got too many. I've doubled up on the uprights there, but you'll work that out as you go around, and it just take a little bit of jiggery pokery at the end to get your last section in. So I'm hoping that has given you a really good idea of where we're going with that. So just remember, it's 8 pieces. Each little piece sits on its own triangular base. And then you're better off making your sections with that missing gap, the missing piece, in order that you then marry that up, and that missing piece is filled by the upright of the piece before. It's difficult to explain, but as you work, it will become more straightforward, but it is a little bit time consuming. Don't get in a fret with it. Yes, that's right. 7 open ones and 1 closed one. That's entirely right. So I am going to leave that there because I'm going to finish that to make and create, and by the magic of television, this is what you're going to end up with. So if you're happy with that you'll continue on in that way. I know that I had a question about, could I show you how to make a different shape? So I thought you might like to make a shape a bit like this, so a 4er. So how do we make a 4? So what I'm doing here is cutting more straws. So my straws are 14 centimetres, and I'm going to cut them so they are unequal lengths. So if I go and cut them, I'm going to make that 8, and then I'll have 6. I'm just going to measure up on the edge here. What did I do before? I did 5 and, right. I'm going to go 8, and 8 and 4, and that way I'm not having any wastage. And as you get more used to doing this, you'll be able, depending on how good your 3D brain is, you'll be able to get more and more adventurous with how you put your little units together. 8, did I cut those all the same? I'm just going to have a measure up. So I've ended up with 4 uprights, which good, are all the same length, which means these ones are all the same length. So when I come to make this structure, it's again, just thinking it's the same technique, just adapt it slightly. I'm going to make each little section's got 2 long bits on it and 2 short bits. So it's a diamond shape with one across the middle like that. So I'm going to start off by threading 2 pieces together. The long one and the short one, which is going to be one side. And then I might as well, while I'm here, come back up the other side. So why don't I go short and long, like that, and bring them together to make my diamond twist tie to finish. Hide the cut end inside. Like that. And then I can come back the other way. I'm going to have to add in some more string. Twist tie to join. And then I'm going to go a long and a short and a long to come back the other side. Long, short, short, long. So I've created my little necklace, and now I need to adjust it. Actually, I'm not going to put those 2 on. I've confused myself. I've just gone long and short because I need to fix it at the bottom. A little wrap around so it holds like that. So I've got a 3-sided shape, and you might want to just stop at 3 sides. I'm going to go 4s. So I'm going to go short and long to bring that back into up to the top like that. So I've got this 3D diamond. I'm fixing it around at the top. And then you could leave it like that if you wanted to, or put the straps in across the side. So I just want to double check. I don't know how long I cut that. These are going to be the same length as the bottom pieces. They were 6 centimetres. So I'm going to come along here, my ruler, 6 centimetres for the first one, and I need 4 of these. So I'm going to cut there and just get rid of that. It's pinging out of the way. Like that. So I want to do this little belt, which is down here, but my cord is at the top. So I need to thread the cord down so it comes out at the waist. And then thread on number 1. And wrap it round there. Like that. Thread on number 2 and wrap that around like that. Number 3, wrap around there. I've run out of string, so I cut myself another piece, attach it on, and then add on my last bit. And attach to finish at the end. So I've got that diamond shape course, if I want to hang it up, I need to then get my cord to go back at the top. So I've twisted it on so it's not going to fall apart. I take the cord up to the top, and I'm going to wrap it round again, only because if I don't do that and get my cord centrally positioned, when I come to make a little loop, it's going to be off center. So make a little loop, twist, tie off, and then thread this back down. I'm going to shorten that and thread it back down like that. So depending on how long you cut your straws, you get different shapes. So if this one's worked out a little bit bigger than the little sample piece, you can see you get all these different shapes. So that's a forer, which is the sort of shape there. So you can see if you wanted to add in that sort of central crown, you could just do that by replicating that placement, but taking it in the middle like that. The threer, that's, easily do that now because you just add in one less strut. And then the fiver is what we've done before, but you've just exaggerated the length of the little placements. So I'm going to bring the camera back to me. I am anticipating that there may well be lots of questions. So those of you who are watching on record, I think the answer is to rewatch the video. So just let me switch the camera around and we can sign off. So I guess the big question is, have I totally confused you? I hope not. So 8 units to make this, to make the complete sort of sample section. It is 15 pieces of straw cut down to size. This is 6 centimeters, which I thought was quite a good size and quite handy to use. When you come to make your units, I would highly advise that you use 14 pieces of straw in order that that last missing section doesn't exist, in order that it can clamp on to the next piece as you go around. And as you saw when I was making it, you just need to, when you tighten everything up, and you number one, you're hiding the little bit of string, the binding, the wire, so it doesn't show, but also you want to be threading up and down the straws in whatever direction you need to, in order that you get the fixing to be in the right place for where you want to go. And every time you do anything, it's, again, bring it back to what you know. So looking back when we made that string of 5 triangles, get the triangles to line up so you know you've got that far. And then you can put your string in, come back between the 2 bottom triangles. You may well find it difficult when you come to put your pieces together like this, is working out where it goes. And when you've only got part of a circle, it can be quite confusing about where you put the next bit in. So think about what I was saying with find the triangle where your wreath is resting on. Now, of course, this is made up of 10 individual triangles. So you just need to find the space and then offer up the next piece. And then you will find that with time, it becomes more intuitive about how you put that together. Look, I almost look like I could go to a New Year's Eve party, couldn't I? As a very geometric goddess or something like that. So I have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have got 3 more to make, to put into here. I think it was 8 altogether. And I just need to do that. And I've found myself with a 1 extra wire up here, which I just need to tuck away and finish off. So I'm conscious of the fact that, yes, it's nice. We've made a very modern Christmas story through our last class. But as I say, conscious that you may have loads and loads of questions. So those of you who are watching live, we can chat about your questions and your queries. I can demonstrate again if you need me to demonstrate again. But if you're watching on the recorded video, ask me a question. So either make a comment underneath the video, reply to the email I'll send you. And for those of you who are in the Facebook group, ask questions, because I'm sure if you're confused, somebody else in the group is bound to be a little bit confused as well. So I'm going to sign off there and say goodbye to those of you who are watching the record. And as this is the last class of this series of Zoom Flower classes, I'll just leave you with a thought and a question. Is, do you want to continue the classes after the new year? And if so, what is it you would like me to cover for you? So this is your opportunity to get me to design a course to take you through things that you want to make. So as ever, leave me a comment under the video, email me, or again, we can have a discussion in the Facebook group as well. So I will say goodbye, and then we'll come to the live Q&A.